Yesterday, though, Russell Westbrook was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Congrats to him. The legend Michael Jordan presented him at the induction and praised Russell for his loyalty to the city. Take a listen.
I think another thing that you guys should be proud about is the sense of loyalty that this kid has shown to the state of Oklahoma. I'm not here to try to bash anyone that's not here. Everybody has a choice. I'm not saying that you don't have a choice. Everybody has a choice. And when I saw that he chose to stay here in Oklahoma, I was so proud, and as Clay know and as Russ know, I texted him to show a sense of respect.
1 year ago, the Thunder organization gathered in Tulsa to induct Durant into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, and Westbrook was his presenter. Stephen A., were Jordan's comments a little bit of a shot at Durant?
A little bit, no question about it. Whether intended or not, Jordan's not going to care about that. He's not trying to get at somebody like that on purpose, but he is going to say what he feels, because Jordan is as real as they come. And there's a level of respect that gets elevated when you see Russell Westbrook making the decision that he made to stay on board, to be committed, to understand that the loss of Kevin Durant is devastating, but he's still going to stay there and fight and fight and fight. Old school cats like Jordan, like Magic, like Isaiah and others respect that, even though they all recognize the fact that free agency back in their day wasn't what it is today. They just could not conceive of joining the other as opposed to fighting against one another. And just to put things in this proper perspective, Max, understand something here. Charles Oakley, for example, is a brother who would take a bullet for Michael Jordan. Patrick Ewing is as tight and as much of a brother to Michael Jordan as almost anybody. Michael Jordan loves rubbing in Patrick Ewing's face and others how he beat them. And he denied them opportunities to win a championship. That's the kind of guy Michael Jordan is. And so when you look at somebody like Russell Westbrook, who is clearly the most ruthless competitor in basketball as far as I'm concerned, he will cut your heart right out of your chest if he could to beat you. Knowing that kind of talent that he is, and considering the commercial that they made months ago, some run, some make runways. There's no other way to interpret this. We understand what it is. I just think that, and you got to remember, the Jordan brand is a part of the Nike brand, and Kevin Durant is represented by Nike. So nobody wants to be but so flagrant with it, but they don't care that much either about stating where they stand and what position they support. Russell Westbrook's that way. Michael Jordan's that way. They know they don't need to speak on it. They know they could leave it for interpretation because they know it's obvious what everybody will interpret it to be.
Russell Westbrook's my favorite player. And he's a lot of people's favorite player precisely because he's a flawed player. The over-aggression in him. He's overly aggressive at times is amazing to watch, because how often in life do you get to see someone achieve at just about the highest level in the world just unbridled aggression? That's what's driving them. It's something to see. It's something to behold. And so Kevin Durant, unfortunately, is in this situation because we talk about this. Why isn't Kevin Durant greater than Larry Bird? He should be. He's taller, he's faster, better defender, better scorer, really. But no one's taken Durant over Bird, because Bird had that at this position. Obviously, LeBron's the greatest small forward who ever lived. I'm talking about who's second. Because Bird was alpha. And that's not KD. KD's personality seems to be the kind of guy, not like Jordan, not like Bird, not like Magic, the kind of guy who wants to fit in and be part of a team. Just naturally, that's what he wants to be, seems to me. And I find that interesting. I'd like to live in a world where there can be an exception to the rule. Where, hey, look at that. Kevin Durant won championships, and he didn't do it the way everyone else did it. But it's his misfortune that he is going to be compared and contrasted with a guy who is emblematic more than anyone else of the Jordan Kobe, Bird kind of ruthless mentality, which is Westbrook. It's not like KD was just on a team with another great competitor who's also a great player. He's on a team with the competitor, with the force of nature, Russell Westbrook, with the guy whose personality makes him somehow more than the sum of his parts. And that's who he's going to be compared to. So Jordan doesn't even have to be aiming at KD, nor does anyone else. They just need to be telling the truth about Russell Westbrook. Because when you tell the truth about Westbrook, it feels like a shot at KD. How can it not? It's just KD's misfortune that he was on that guy's team and that's the dynamic. And from now on till the end of time, when people talk about Westbrook and his qualities that we most admire, in this case, loyalty to the franchise, ruthless aggression, ultimate competitor, alpha personality, gonna sound like you're taking a shot at KD. How else can it sound?
Yeah, it sounds that way, but do you think that's what Jordan was doing?
No, I think he's just trying to compliment Westbrook. That's my point. Ged, right now, talk about Westbrook, Stephen A. Smith, and make it not sound like you're taking a shot at KD. It's hard, right? I mean, it's hard.
It's definitely hard, but we also have to take into consideration who we're talking about here when we talk about Michael Jordan. The ultra competitor, the ultra assassin, somebody that comes at you and is unapologetic about it, but never spoke about it. When he had wars with the New York Knicks and Jeff Van Gundy particularly, he never said anything. He balked at Jeff Van Gundy. You knew that, but he never said anything. When he went at Clyde Drexler and literally destroyed Clyde Drexler, okay, whether it be in the NBA Finals or in practice during the Olympics or whatever the case may be. He never spoke against Clyde Drexler. He just exercised it, okay? When he went up against the Detroit Pistons and the Bad Boys and what they were trying to do to him and what have you, he left the complaining to other individuals. He went out there and tried to take them out, but at the same time, he didn't speak against them. When Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons walked off the court prematurely, which was a black mark against that franchise, and it was much more into that meets the eye, and everybody should go back and watch the 30 for 30 that was done on the Bad Boy Pistons because that explains a lot. Nevertheless, what did Jordan say after that? Jordan didn't have much to say. Jordan is notorious for saying a lot by not saying much. And that's what it was. It's one thing for Russell Westbrook to be inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. It's another thing for MJ to introduce him. And not only to introduce him, and he should, by the way, because Russell Westbrook is like a signature brand for the Jordan brand with what he brings to the table, but to go up there and to introduce him and to say, I'm not here to knock anybody. Yeah, Jordan's not necessarily trying to knock him per se, but at the same time, we are talking about Jordan, who has a profound level of respect, exponentially higher for Russell Westbrook and his actions than Kevin Durant and his actions. It's unavoidable.
Vic, flushed out, and he is loose again. Midfield, Vic, he's made go! He will! Touchdown, Michael Vick!
The position is ready to transform. Everyone says it's a quarterback league, but this is different. This is somebody doing something even more dynamic, more explosive. I don't know if I've ever seen like it.
And there is Vic, as you talked about, John, rolling and launching downfield for Deshaun Jackson, who accelerates, caught the opening play, and all the way for a touchdown.
Wow. I don't know how you stop this guy.
Now that's a highlight reel. Our next guest was the #1 overall pick in the 2001 NFL Draft and immediately transformed the position of quarterback. You just saw it, a 4-time Pro Bowler and the NFL's all-time leader in rushing yards. For a quarterback, we welcome Mike Vick to First Take. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Mike,
Thanks for having me. I appreciate all y'all.
Mike, I want to start with Cam here. Now, obviously, you're no stranger to punishment, of course, being a mobile quarterback. What are your thoughts on him complaining about those hits that he's taking?
Well, look, we all understand where Cam's coming from. You're going to get hit low. Guys are going to take shots. They're gunning at you. From what happened last year and what transpired throughout their season, all the fun they was having, a lot of guys, may be a little, upset about that, and they want to take their shots, and they're going to try to get their shots. That's just the nature of the NFL, and I think, you know, Cam just has to roll with the punches, man. You can't really complain about it. You can't get upset. The one thing I learned, the more you complain, the more the refs are going to ignore you. You know, when you're in their ear trying to get a call, they act as if they don't hear you. So he just has to play ball and not, you know, depend on the refs to get a call, because you may get one in the game and that's it. And you have to continue to play.
Mike, what role do you believe Cam has played in seemingly being targeted more? Guys gonna want to hit you regardless. But do you think whether it's the dabbing, it's the celebrations, it's the talking that they did last year in the throes of that 15 in one season, that there's still residue from that has players targeting him even more?
Like I said, when you look at all the showboating last year, the guys, they were having fun, and that's what the NFL season's supposed to consist of. Guys out there building chemistry, the camaraderie, having fun playing the game. But when you take it upon yourself and your teammates to, showboat and throw that in everybody's face, some guys are not going to like that. And you have to understand, if you're a Super Bowl contending team, if you made it to the Super Bowl and you didn't win it, everybody know the next year that you're going to be a tough competitor. You're going to be a tough team, and you have to, just be ready for whatever is going to come. And right now it's just a little backlash from that, from all the dabbing, all the showboating, all the celebrating. And it's just something that Cam has to deal with. He's done a great job so far. I think the team is a step behind from what happened last year. They're not looking as good as they did last year, but they're slowly but surely getting on track, and I think that's all you can ask for. But as of right now, those calls may come, they may not come. He just has to roll with the punches.
Mike, you always displayed, particularly later in your career, in fact, incredible kind of old school toughness. As a little guy, taking savage shots and dusting yourself off, picking yourself back up and going at it again until physically you couldn't anymore with some of those shots you were taking,
Right.
in given games and seasons. How do you feel having that mentality, watching Cam, a big, strong guy with the increased quarterback protection year in and year out we see, complaining about getting hit too much? Does that at all rub you the wrong way?
Well, I kind of look at it as, I was a guy who was 6 feet, 212 pounds, didn't really do much complaining. I did more complaining to my coaches and maybe to Roger at times to try to get calls than I did to the referees, because I know in the heat of the moment, nobody really cares. I mean, you're going to get those calls, whether they make a difference in the game or not, who knows? But you have to just go out there and continue to just stay focused on the task at hand. I was a guy who just laid it all out on the line. The referees were secondary to me, not primary. I didn't care whether I got a call or not. Sometimes I did if I felt like it was too flagrant. Then I would maybe hint something to the ref. But other than that, you have to just go out and play. You're not going to win a game getting 15-yard penalties. Maybe, maybe not. But for the most part, no. So, I just tried to lay it all out on the line, and I think we all seen that on a consistent basis from me. And I think Cam should do the same thing. But I really wish that I was 6'5", 245 pounds, because my game would have been a different dynamic.
Well, having said all of that, Mike, being gone for a couple of seasons before you ultimately came back, you balled for a couple of years for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want you to talk about what happened to your career and why you're not playing now, because we see a lot of quarterbacks that are clearly mediocre. And when you look at the way the game has evolved and how the running quarterback can still do damage in today's game, you got a lot of folks out there still salivating about the Michael Vick of old, wishing that guy could still be out there doing the kind of things that he's capable of doing. Why is Michael Vick not playing in the NFL today? What would you say happened to your career in the latter part of it?
You know what, I can honestly say I really don't know what happened. I felt like I was doing the best that I could, being the best teammate, being the consummate teammate that I can be. I know in Pittsburgh I came in late. I came in August, and I felt like I can get a grasp of the offense. And being a veteran and the player with the experience that I had, I felt like I can come in and run the show. if deemed necessary. I felt like when I was in New York, I did a pretty good job when I stepped in. I wasn't as sharp as I wanted to be, but that just comes with, getting reps. And I wasn't getting reps. I was, in the back at practice, standing behind, Gino, not getting the opportunity to get the reps that I needed to be the best that I can be. Now, I knew that I could get the job done. It's all about, your confidence and how you feel and your preparation. And I think the moral of the story is that in my heart of hearts, I'm a full-time starter. I'm not a backup. I was so used to that regimen for 13 years, being a starter, being the face of a franchise, and it was tough for me to handle. And, it's similar to the situation that I think Tony Romo is going through, not what he's about to go through, because I think the future is bright for him. But, being in the desolate place where you feel as if, everything is crashing down, your career is coming to an end, you start to panic and you start to press, and that's natural for a football player to be faced with those situations. And I kind of accepted it. I really still don't understand why I'm not playing, but I'm getting used to not playing, so that's not a good thing.
Mike, you brought up Tony Romo. I want to bring up another quarterback we've been debating on this show, Tom Brady, who's played at an all-universe level this year on a per-game basis, but has missed 4 games, is now 4-1 when the second and third string quarterbacks were a combined 3-1 without him. And yet he's being mentioned by many as a potential MVP candidate, including by Stephen A. Smith and Molly.
Yes.
I say you can't miss a quarter of your season's games and be an MVP. What do you say?
Educate him, Mike. Educate him.
Max, well, give me a second, Stephen A., because to a certain degree, I agree with what Max is saying.
Drop the mic. I just dropped the mic on you, Stephen A.
He served the suspension, 4 games. Yes, he's came back and he's played incredible, and he's looked like the Tom Brady of old, the Tom Brady that we're used to seeing. Has he done some good things? Yes. Are there other players out in the NFL that's doing great things? Yes. Is Tom Brady still a great player? We all agree. I think we would all agree, yes. But to only play 4 games and be considered, 4 or 5 games and miss 4 games and be considered an MVP candidate, I think it's kind of far-fetched right now when you have guys like Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson playing at a very high level right now. I think it can't be overlooked. And then you also have Ezekiel Elliott who's playing at a high level.
Don't mince words. Go ahead. Tell Stephen A. Smith Max is right and you're wrong. Go ahead. It's okay. It feels good. You'll like it.
Michael Vick, that is
Max
just
is right.
blasphemous.
Stephen, you're wrong.
How dare you interrupt that man?
Michael Vick, that's just blasphemous. I can't believe you're a traitor. I can't believe that you just
Max
said
is right. Stephen, you're wrong.
He's just messing with me, Max. He's just messing with me. He's just messing with me.
Sounds great every time.
Check this out. Check this out, Michael Vick.
Hey, Stephen, you lost that one, Stephen. You lost that one.
Let me ask you this, Mike. So if Tom Brady rolls out and drops 32 touchdowns, only throws about 3 or 4 interceptions, goes 11-1 in 12 games, you trying to tell me just because he missed 4 games, he can't be MVP? That's what you're saying?
I think because he was faced with so much adversity in the beginning of the year that it can be taken into consideration of him being the MVP. Now, I do stand on that. But we have to account for the 4 games. Now, if you got a guy like Dak Prescott who plays 16 games and has a full body of work and they still make the playoffs, then how can you debate that? So
what if Tom Brady's record ends up being better than that?
I'm pulling for Tom.
Hey, by the way, Stephen A., he's already got a loss, and there's the second string didn't have any losses.
Then you have to take it into consideration.
I cannot believe what Michael Vick is saying right now. This is unbelievable.
Further.
This is unbelievable. Okay.
I got to keep it real. I got to keep it real in the football world.
All right. You keeping it real with your Cubs hat on, even though you're from Virginia, not Chicago. It's all right.
Absolutely. I jumped on the bandwagon. Like everybody else. I got a new team, the Chicago Cubs. We made history this year.
I got you. What is your thought about your old team, the Atlanta Falcons, and what you've been seeing from Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and the crew since they are leading the NFC South? What's been your thoughts about that?
I think they're playing some pretty good football. Now, it's not the most consistent. I think on offense, they're doing a great job. It seems like the offense is moving fluently. There's no problems there. I think, Kyle Shanahan has done a great job with Matt Ryan, and I think Matt Ryan is very comfortable in what they're doing. Julio Jones looks phenomenal. He can be another MVP candidate, hands down, but we know receivers don't win the MVP. But the defense has to play better, and it's very inconsistent. It's kind of hard for me to watch. Last week watching Atlanta and Philly was very difficult to watch. I had to root for somebody, so I just stayed neutral. But I think as the season goes on, down the stretch when it's extremely important to be at your best, I think this is a team. This is a team that really has to focus on getting better on the defensive side of the ball, because we all know defense wins championships. The offense is just complementary, and that's the only way they're going to get it done. So I'm rooting for them. I'm pulling, for those guys to put it all together, and I think they will.
Mike, you mentioned that Matt Ryan looks comfortable with, what has to do, and he's making some throws that very few guys can make and all that. But considering everyone's situation under center this year in the NFL, who is the best quarterback in football in 2016?
Man, it's tough to say who's the best. It's a lot of good ones out there, man. And I know David Carr's playing well. I know, like I said, Dak Prescott is playing extremely well. Tom Brady looks like a spitting image of himself week in and week out.
Man, you dancing more than Max Kellerman.
I would hate to say this.
Give it to me.
And I got to be real. Listen, Steve, I got to be candid. And I'm going to be honest, man. Right now, people might get offended, but as I watch the whole body of work, like I said, Dak Prescott, to me, is the most consistent quarterback right now.
How about
I would
Cowboys?
say Tom Brady if I would have seen the first 4 games. How about those Cowboys, Molly? They look good. I mean, you can't take nothing away from them. I know a lot of Cowboys fans out here.
Mike, they in our ear. They telling us you got to go. They telling us you got to go, Mike. They telling us you got to go. They telling us you got. I can't believe. I cannot believe you said that.
Don't make me leave for keeping it real. Don't make me leave for keeping it real. I'm here for 30 minutes.
Mike, we so appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. But next time, can you not big time us? Can you be here in studio and not upgrade for that sunshine?
Next time I will be there. We'll coordinate it. We'll set it up.
All right. We appreciate you.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Thanks for having me.
When we come back.